Hello everyone. Good evening, guys. If you can hear me, please give me a yes in the chat box. All right, great. So I am assuming that most of you can hear me. However, only a couple have confirmed in the chat. So my name is Mayur and I'm the verbal faculty with Career Launcher for all international education programs. Today we're going to talk about strategies to ace the GMAT verbal section. So very quickly onto what we are going to discuss. So we'll have a look at the syllabus structure and scoring, and then we'll dive deeper into the critical reasoning and reading comprehension question types that we encounter on the verbal section of the test. We'll have a look at different questions and identify the common trap answers. And of course, we'll have a look at, we'll have a Q&A at the end as well. So in case you have any questions, please feel free to post it on the chat here. Okay. So first of all, why do we need to take the GMAT exam? Of course, it helps you stand out. It shows the officers that you're truly motivated. And of course, it helps you refresh your skills, right? For most of us, it has been quite some time that, we have studied. So most of us may have some gap, and therefore it would obviously bring you back to that zone. The GMAT does not assume that you have any particular knowledge of the subject areas. It does not measure your achievement in any of the subject areas, and it does not measure your subjective factors such as motivation, creativity. Right? Now, when it comes to the test, there are three sections that you will find on the test. So, data insights, quantitative reasoning, and verbal reasoning. These are the different sections that you will have on the test here, right? So when it comes to data insights, 20 questions, 45 minutes, data sufficiency, multi-source reasoning, table analysis, graphical interpretation are all the different types of questions that we'll have. Quantitative, we only have problem solving, which is a regular math problem, five answer choices, one correct choice is what we have to select. 21 questions and 45 minutes is what we have here. On the verbal section, reading comprehension and critical reasoning are the only question types that will be part of your test. 23 questions, 45 minutes is what you get here. Okay. Total test duration is for 2 hours, 15 minutes. Now, on the math section, geometry is no longer part of your syllabus. And on the verbal section, grammar is no longer part of your syllabus. So that is the change that has happened on the focus edition. And when it comes to in which order you can take the test, there are 6 different orders. So basically, all combinations are possible, right? So you can start with data insights, you can start with quantitative, and you can start with verbal. So either way, in any order that you wish to take the test, you can start. There is one optional break that is given to you. So you can take it right after the first section, or you can take the break after the second section as well, wherever you feel comfortable. Okay. Now, if you decide not to take a break, that does not mean you will get any extra time. Time remains the same. So that is your choice if you wish to take the break or not. Right. Now, GMAT is what we call as a computer adaptive test. So the test starts at a medium difficulty level for everyone, as you can see here. So it starts at a medium difficulty level. If you get a question correct, your difficulty level goes up. If you get a question wrong, your difficulty level goes down. So as you can clearly see, higher the difficulty level, more points you're going to get. Lower the difficulty level, less points you're going to get. So a correct response gives you a harder item, and incorrect response gives you an easier item. And that's how the test is going to be. All right. Now, anywhere in the world you take the test, it remains the same in terms of content length. You cannot go back to a question. Once you've answered a question, it's done. And there is an item exposure control. So you get a mix of all question types. The entire syllabus of the test will be covered. Okay. Now, when it comes to the scoring part here, 205 to 805, that's the scale with increments of 10. So you can score 215, 225, and so on. And when it comes to section scores, you have a score on a scale of 60 to 90 with increments of 1. So 61, 62, 62, 61 is what you can, right? So depending on whatever your overall score that you're targeting, you can absolutely figure out what are your sectional scores that you need to get. Right? Let's have a glance at the syllabus of all three sections here. So when it comes to math, these are all the key topics that you would be tested on. Now in our training program, all these topics from all three sections will be covering from scratch. So we'll learn how to go about them. We'll learn the rules, the formulas, and of course, what sort of trap answers you will find and how to go about them. Right. So that is all that we're going to cover in our training program. So here, this is a detailed list of all the topics that we. When it comes to verbal, as discussed, you have reading comprehension, where you'll have passages based on social sciences, humanities, business or biological sciences, business-related passages such as marketing, economics, HR management. Now, remember, GMAT does not assume any knowledge, right? So it doesn't really matter, from what topic the passage is. So let's say anyone from a science background, it's not that a science passage is going to be easy for that person and vice versa, right? So they're not assuming any knowledge for you. All the information that you will need to answer is already there in the passage. 5 key question types, which include main idea, supporting idea, inference, application, evaluation. These are all key question types that you'll find on the test, something that you absolutely need to be good at. And when it comes to critical reasoning, 8 different types of questions, which include weaken, strengthen, assumption, inference, paradox, boldface, evaluate, and compare. So these are all the question types that one needs to understand, right? Each of these questions is very different as well. So how you solve a paradox is very different than how you solve an assumption, right? So again, all of these questions we cover separately one by one in our training program. So learning the right strategy, learning the trap answers, common argument patterns can make a huge difference to your accuracy and efficiency. Okay. Any questions so far, everyone? When it comes to data insights, this is a section which has a math as well as a verbal component. So both the skills are tested, primarily math though. Now here, multi-source reasoning is a question type where you'll have information presented to you in different tabs. So you'll have to decide which tab to use in order to answer a particular question, right? So different tabs will be presented. They may have text, tables, graphs, or even a combination of both, right? And you have to decide what sort of tab or what information you may use in order to answer that question. 2 types of questions, a yes or no, true, false, inferable, not inferable. And of course, a multiple choice question is also presented. Now, this can be a very time consuming question as well. So you need to be good at that. So you need to make sure that you manage your time accordingly. You don't end up wasting a lot of time on a multi-source reasoning question, right? Table analysis, as the name suggests. So you'll have a table which is sortable with respect to columns. You'll have to use that information to answer the question. So you'll be presented with 4 phrases, statements, or numerical values. And using that, you would have to indicate whether these statements are accurate. 2-part analysis, as the name suggests, there are 2 parts which could be related, which could be linked. They could be 2 parts of a process. They could be 2 steps involved. So you would have to figure out here. And 3 columns. First, part you answer in the first part, first column, second one in the second, and the third column presents the answer choices, right? Graphical interpretation, as the name suggests. So graph is presented. It could be an XY graph, a bar chart, a pie chart, followed by statements. So the interesting thing is that the answer choices are presented in a drop down. So you'll have to click on that in order to access the menu and then select an answer choice. Data sufficiency is a typical math style question where we simply have to find out if the information given is sufficient to answer the question or not. So a question along with the two statements are presented. You would have to find out if the statements presented are sufficient to answer the question or not. Okay. So if you select A part, it means statement one alone is sufficient. B part, statement two alone. C part implies both statements together are required. D part means both are independently sufficient. And E part would mean neither of these statements are sufficient. So that is how you can actually go about it. So this is what the entire test is going to be. These are all the different types of questions that you need to cover, something that we of course will cover in our program. Let's dive deeper into the critical reasoning section of the test. Now, when it comes to critical reasoning, this is one of the most logical, interesting sections of the test. All questions are going to be arguments. So of course, the first thing we need to understand is what is an argument. Now, 8 different types of questions. We'll cover these questions in separate sessions. But in order to solve any of these questions, the most important thing you need to understand is what is an argument. So let's understand. Any critical reasoning argument is made up of two components, a premise and a conclusion. Premise is basically the evidence, the reasoning that the author has presented in order to support the argument. Right? There can be a lot of different types of premise that are presented, but of course, premise is the evidence, reasoning, fact that the conclusion is based upon. Okay. And conclusion is obviously the main point, the central idea that the author presents. Okay. So for example, let's have a look at this one here. Have a look at this, and if you can tell me what seems to be the conclusion here. All right, I believe everyone has read through the argument. So can you tell me what seems to be the conclusion? What seems to be the main point of the argument here? Everyone, all right. I guess Only one person have been able to answer. Let's have a look. So first of all, guys, my first suggestion to you is do not change anything that is presented. Do not add your words. That is the best way to go about this, right? So here clearly the conclusion is that a sandwich with cream is more helpful, right? And that is something that you need to stick with. So a sandwich with cream is more helpful than is a sandwich with butter on. Okay. That's the main point, the central idea author wants to present. And the moment you ask yourself, why is that the case? I think there is a clear response to that. Why are we saying so? Simply for the fact that cream contains 50% fewer calories. So there is a response to that why also. So we understand why are we saying so. So a sandwich with cream is more helpful than is a sandwich with butter on it. And why? Because cream contains 50% fewer calories per spoon than does. So that is what the argument is all about, right? And that is how you can actually break the argument into its components. Okay. Are we clear here, everyone? Do we understand? So as a strategy here, three simple steps. Find the conclusion, take the why test, and the response to the why will obviously give you the premise idea. So here we have a typical GMAT question. This is an actual GMAT question here. Please go ahead. Let's have a look at this. If you can find the conclusion and premise, please go ahead. Everyone, all right. So clearly we have a few people did not provide further additional benefits. Okay, not really, guys. Further additional benefits. Okay, I think again, so we are trying to sort of paraphrase. See, again, if you would have asked me what is the conclusion, guys, my straightforward response. Why would I need to change? It's already given, right? The campaign did nothing. Simple as that. So it's always better if you keep it straightforward, right? If you stick with what is given to you, that would always be a better way. Will take less time, and you can absolutely be sure that you have the right thing, right? So the campaign did nothing to further the economic interest. Why are we saying so? We are saying so. There are 2 points. One, yes, on one hand, the sales did go up, right? Sales increased by 2 million, it went to 12 million. But since profit is less than the cost of the campaign, we are saying that the campaign did nothing, right? So since the profit is less than the cost of the campaign, we are saying that the campaign did, right? I hope everyone's able to spot that. Now, let's have a look at the question here. Which of the following most seriously weakens the argument? Now, in order to weaken, we simply have to find an answer choice that would allow us to say that the campaign did something, right? Because if the conclusion is that the campaign did nothing, we simply have to find an answer choice that allows us to say that the campaign did something, right? We have to go against the conclusion of the author here, right? Now, 5 answer choices. Poll is live for you. I would want you to mark your answer choices on the poll. Please do not share it on the chat. I repeat, only mark it on the poll. Please go ahead. Let's see what choice you say. All right, guys, time's up. Ending the poll now. Let's have a look at what choice we're going for. Please mark in case you've not selected yet. Only 20% people have been able to answer. That is very, very disappointing, guys. This sort of strategy, I can promise, will not help you score anything, right? So you have to do a little better. You have to try, you have to apply, right? Now, if you clearly see here, it talks about small percentage. Percentages can be misleading. Small percentage can be, any number, okay? Small percentage could still be millions, so we are not really sure. Won't help. Most of the people that the campaign brought were already loyal customers. If they were already loyal customers, then campaign or no campaign, they would have any which ways gone for the same brand, right? And therefore, we believe that clearly it's not going to help. A less expensive advertising campaign would have brought in significantly fewer new customers. So another less expensive campaign would have been worse, right? That doesn't mean this campaign is better, right? Absolutely not. Completely irrelevant here. We call such a choice as a typical out of scope answer choice, something that has no impact. Diets made money. We already know they've made money. They've sold 2 million, 12 million, sorry, right? So unless you're telling me how much, it's not really going to help. So again, not a very good choice. This one here. Okay. Now, He thought in each of the past 5 years there was a steep industry-wide decline. So I really like the word steep and industry-wide. So it clearly tells me that when everyone's sales were going down, and everyone's sales were down steeply, this company's sales went up. So obviously the campaign did something, because if not for the campaign, forget 12 million, they would have sold 2 million in total, right? So that clearly helps me challenge the point that the campaign did nothing, because as per this, the campaign was definitely helpful, right? Are we clear here, everyone? All right. So here we have another argument. Please go ahead. Let's have a quick look. Let's break this into its conclusion and premise. Please go ahead. Okay. So clearly the conclusion here is that the complaints are unwanted, right? So the author is concluding that yes, there are complaints that the traffic has gone worse, but they are unwarranted. And why is the author saying so? Clearly for the fact that highways have tripled, right? So highways have gone three times the number, whereas vehicles have only gone up by 75%. So since there are more roads than there are vehicles, we are simply saying that the complaints are unwarranted. Is that clear, everyone? Do we understand? Wonderful. So we have a similar question here. Which of the following seriously weakened? So in order to weaken, we'll have to say that the traffic has gone up, because the author concludes otherwise. So five answer choices. Please mark your choice on the poll. The poll is live now. Raghav, I think I very clearly mentioned, please mark it only on the poll, guys. There is no need to Share it on the chat because then other people are affected. Please mark your choices on the poll. All right, there's plenty of time. Ending the poll now. It's on. So here, if you look at your poll results, we obviously have a better this thing performance and more participation as well. So A part is absolutely the right choice. Very good. People who've gone for A part. So most of the travel is local, it says, and these roads haven't changed in the last 20 years. So if the travel is local, in that case, your highways may triple, but the traffic is local and these roads haven't changed. And on top of it, you know that the vehicles have gone up. So clearly that is a recipe for more traffic, not less. Now, gasoline price is irrelevant. If you have well-developed public transit system, all the more reason traffic should be less. Average age will not have no impact. And clearly, if radio stations are broadcasting traffic reports, the only thing that it can possibly lead to is less traffic, nothing else. Are we clear here, everyone? Wonderful. So as you can clearly see, a very interesting, a very logical section of the test where it's very important that you know exactly what type of argument, what type of question you're dealing with, and you can plan your strategy accordingly. Right. So that is the key thing here, especially when it comes to critical reasoning questions. Now let's dive deeper into the reading comprehension. So for reading comprehension, I have a short passage for all of you. Let's have a quick look. Here, I'll give you guys a minute. Everyone, please go ahead, have a quick look. All right, I believe everyone has read through the passage here. Now, very quickly, let's have a look at what sort of pattern they're really trying to test us on, and how can we really take advantage of that pattern as well, right? So one of the key things here is that the first few lines or the first paragraph on all these passages, especially, is always going to be a little more important. Okay. Right. For example, here, if you see the first few lines, it clearly tells you the main idea that the NASA programs have been the subject of ridicule. And this is the part that you obviously would want to read a little slower, right? So not something that you would want to read very quickly. Then the middle part of the passage is where you'll always find the details, which is something that you can afford to be a little quicker. So this part of the passage you can obviously not read word by word or line by line. And towards the end, obviously you'll find the author presents the main idea again or comes back to the main idea again, and that is something that will definitely help you. Okay. So as you can clearly see, this goes for all the short passages and the long passages, irrespective of if you have uh, one paragraph or if you have multiple paragraphs. So if you have one paragraph, then the initial lines and the later lines. If you have multiple paragraphs, then the first paragraph and the last paragraph by default becomes important. Apart from that, focusing on these keywords can really help you navigate through the passage a lot better. So all your time transitions will help you understand if there is a change. And all your contrast words as well, such as but, yet, although, however, will help you navigate through the passage quite easy. So in order to make sure, just make, you don't waste a lot of time. Make sure that you use the first paragraph, the last paragraph, and also all your transitions as well. Now, this is an actual passage. Let's have a quick look at this one here. Apply the same thing here. Scientists long believe, so obviously it tells you the old point of view. And when they present it like that, obviously I'm expecting the new point of view as well. So scientists have long believed that the nerve hypothalamus or nerve cluster in the hypothalamus, the SCNs were what control circadian. Now, when I have information such as this, I'm obviously looking for a change. That would be a contrast word here. So for example, furthermore is not going to help me find the contrast. So the only word that I think I have is here while. While scientists do not dispute the role of SCNs, scientists now believe. So as you can clearly see, this is how the information is going to be, and that's how your transition words can really help you navigate through the passage better. So if I again, coming back to the same point, the first lines and the initial last lines are going to matter more. So the main idea sort of seems to be that the author wants to talk about how SCNs were important earlier. Now they say that SCNs are fine, but something else is also equally important. So what's the primary purpose of the passage here? Obviously, the primary purpose is related to the importance of SCN, rather the change in that. So the poll is live. Please make sure that you mark your choices on the poll. Please go ahead. All right, guys, that's plenty of time here. Ending the poll now. Let's have a look at what choice we go. If you look at your poll results, only 50% people have been able to answer, and that too, there is a split. So I'm not sure where did C part come from, report answers to several questions. I don't think there were several questions at all. There was just the change in perception of the SCN. So how the long-standing belief has been revised. So the old view, how it has been revised, that is what clearly seems to be the main idea of the passage here. I hope that is clear to everyone. All right. As you can clearly see, guys, having the right strategy, understanding the exam is very critical to ensuring that you get to a good score. And that is how you can make sure that you are able to nail the GMAT exam and ace the verbal section, right? Okay. Here, in case you have any questions, please feel free to discuss. For those of you who are already part of the program, a warm welcome to all of you guys. For those of you who are not, I'm sharing a form in the chat. Please fill the form. This is for our reference only. And then as far as the next steps are concerned, obviously you need to should take a diagnostic test on the portal that is available, attend your classes, Take the sectional test, topic tests, right? And then make sure that you're applying the strategies that you're learning in your practice questions as well. Parallelly, you can work on your profile as well. So take a profile analysis session, understand what sort of universities you can apply and what does it take to target the best. Difference between a hard and a medium question. Which type of question, Shubham, are you referring to? Critical reasoning, reading comprehension. And I'm not really sure what do you mean by difference. A harder question is going to be a harder one, right? Difficult to solve, but it follows the same principles, right? It's if it's a weakening, it's going to be a weakening question only. There may be different types of arguments within it. A or difficult question does not mean that you have a different type of question type. The question type will absolutely be the same. Nothing changes in that regard. Right. So in case you wish to know more, guys, feel free to connect with us. Some of our great achievers, scores ranging from a 735, 100 percentile to 705, again a 735. So some of our top scores here on the Focus Edition. In case you wish to know more, you have any queries, please feel free to connect on the number with my colleague, Mr. Deepak. Any questions that you may have for me, please go ahead. All right, guys, thank you all for joining in that case. It was a pleasure to do this with you. All the best. We'll see you in the class then. So, Arjav, we start batches almost every week. Okay, if you're already part of the program, then the team will definitely help you start with your relevant session. And in case not, you can always connect with us and understand when is the date, or if you want to know the exact date when it's going to start the new cycle.